The last Hermitcraft episode was weird, and there's a chance we're going to be continuing that theme in today's Hermitcraft episode. You see, I've installed something. I spent all of the previous episode riding around on my hog, which now that I'm a motorcyclist, I know is code word for a motorbike. And let's just say I've had some artwork done. Okay, I can see him. Oh my goodness. He looks fantastic. Kind of scary. Kind of a little, he's got little tires. He's actually got little tires. I don't know. I mean, the exhaust pipes. I don't know if I should have looked at that. This video might get age restricted. I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to look at your exhaust pipes. Right, let's take you back to the base. Yes, this is how I move forth. Everything feels right at this point in time. Oh, I should definitely add some sound effects to this guy. Okay, I'm gonna work on adding some sound effects to this guy. So all of you who are saying, why didn't I just get a horse? This is why I didn't just get a horse. This is way more fun. And to all of you wondering why I'm not using the super fast highway, is because genuinely it's actually quite nice to just look around the Minecraft landscapes. I mean, look at this. Look, I get to check out all of these guys. All of them much slower and much worse looking than what I'm currently riding. I mean, obviously we're going much slower right now, but trust me, this guy could move fast if he wanted to. It's just we don't want to. We're enjoying the scenery. Really enjoying the scenery. Okay, I must admit, I'm getting a little bit bored of the scenery now. I don't know why, but as soon as I pulled this pig into the water, I assumed he would sink because he looks way heavier now that he's got all of this new paint job. I keep seeing those exhaust pipes. I'm gonna have to blur them in the video. This definitely wasn't the artist's intention. This is entirely a me problem. Come on, buddy, let's get you tied up to this post. Right, let's make some base progress, shall we? This area is looking rather lovely and sustainable, but the area surrounding it is looking rather lovely, and we're going to add to that in today's Hermitcraft episode. This is going to kind of finish off the decorative part of the structure. I basically want to build up the platform. This is the platform where all of the farms are going to be going. And now that I'm down here, it's quite big, isn't it? This is quite a big space. I mean, I think this main zone, like this main box here, this is just going to be flat because the farms are going to be built off of it. I kind of need to come up with an idea for what I'm going to do with the walls, because the walls are really big. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we actually need to be smart about this because we don't want to do something ugly. And I do have a tendency to do ugly things, so we have to be really careful here. The wall also has a pretty variable height, so I guess I have to create a design that doesn't have like a set height. Has to be a repeatable pattern, I assume. And that is a lot for my two brain cells to deal with. So let's go into the creative mode testing world. And after a lot of goatee scratching, which I think you very much enjoyed, I have come up with this idea right here. So in the back, that's our bridge. That's what I came up with over there. There's the button as well. This is like my weird Hermitcraft Season 9 testing world. And this is the idea that I've come up with. So we've got this middle section. This has got a nice gradient going through all the different stone colors. I've added these little bits for a bit of extra depth. And then for these pillar sections, I've still got a gradient, but it's one of the deep slate gradients, and then also added in some stairs. I think it looks nice. I think it looks good. I think it looks functional. It's also a design that isn't too complicated to build, which is absolutely fantastic for me. So let's get resource gathering. This is going to take a while, and a while it definitely took. So I decided instead of doing loads of boring progress updates as I gradually move items from the world into my inventory and then into the chest, I would instead do a time lapse. And during this, you know, I kind of discovered that I've been being a little bit silly with my warped stone gathering. You see, I always go out into the nether and risk my life to actually get this stuff, and I've realised it's not really that hard to get lots of. So I built up this tiny little bone meal shifting platform, managed to get myself a bunch of the fungus, and then I grew a bunch of trees. The only issue is I've now been left with something. This thing right here, which it's also looking a little bit sustainable. Now, in my defense, I did build it in the graveyard of weird farms and strange builds that exist, but it is slightly more offensively ugly. But for the time being, I'm going to leave it because I enjoy the funny noises that Grin makes when he's frustrated. It's just like a strange combination of squeaks. It's incredibly satisfying. Anyway, as you saw in the time lapse, we are now fully geared up for this structure. I didn't actually count how many resources we need. We probably have far too many. So without further ado, let's get to the construction. Number one is going to be this pillar right here. Just like I did with the rest of this build, I'm going to kind of build it bit by bit. So starting off with the pillars seems like a smart idea because that's easy for me to get my head around. And then from there, I'll fill in the gaps. I am just starting to realize how tall this wall is. I am actually a little bit scared that I don't have enough resources, to be honest with you. I also definitely should have cleared out the area before I started. There's always more jobs to do than you expect, isn't there? I hope Scar doesn't see the fact that I also have an unenchanted shovel. Right, all I have to do here is remember to install the gradient. That made it sound super technical. I just need to remember to place blocks in this fashion right here. Right, is this a good amount of gradient? Have I done the right level of gradientage? I would say so. Then all of the stairs go in. And let's see, what do we think to our first pillar? The first part of this structure. I think it looks pretty good. If I fly away, it does look really good. That looks super bulky. It's not too bulky, is it? I don't think it's too bulky. No, I think that fits in nicely with the rest of the build, especially when that's all solid and then has farms going through the middle of it. I think that will end up looking really, really cool. So let's get another couple built. This is pillar number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. So that gives us one side of this entire thing done, which should then give us a good idea of what the whole thing is going to look like, which makes me incredibly nervous. I haven't really been flying away while building this. I have no clue what this actually looks like at all. So I guess as the sun is setting, I'm about to find out. This is good. This is good. This is a lot for me to take in. I mean, this build is so much more detailed than a lot of builds I've worked on in the past. I think it looks good. Again, I think it's made the pillars look a little bit long, but I think once this area gets filled in, it's going to stop looking like pillar extensions, because right now it just makes the pillars look longer, and that throws the proportions off slightly. So I think once these are walls, then these pillars will look back in proportion. But otherwise, I'm happy with it. It's almost a little bit like when you're working on a painting or something like that. It's very difficult to tell how well a build is coming together when you're halfway through it, because it's kind of all of the finishing touches that actually bring everything together. And I imagine that will be the case here. So let's get all of the rest of our pillars completed, which I think will work best as a time lapse. And I tell you what, the best thing about recording time lapses is I can eat crisps. I can eat crisps while I'm playing Minecraft, which is not something that I could do when I'm regularly recording videos. You see, I've been caught out so many times in the past. If I'm eating something, right, something funny will happen, and then I'll want to hit the record button, and my mouth will be full of the thing that I'm eating, and I'm not going to subject you to that. Whereas when I'm recording time lapses, you best believe my mouth is full the entire time, okay? And actually, I don't know if that's good for me. Impending health problems aside, look at this. Now that it's becoming square, or a cube, or cubic, or... oh gosh. It's becoming an unnamed thing. Now that it's becoming a thing that I can't name, it's looking much better. Now that we've actually got an edge to it, and it goes round the corner, we're getting there. So next up, we need to place in all of the walls. And look, okay, as I mentioned in the time-lapse, I'm enjoying eating crisps at this point in time. There's still some crisps on my desk, and I fancy continuing eating them. So I think I'm going to do this in the form of a time-lapse. Is this the first crisp-motivated time-lapse in Hermitcraft history? I don't know, but you know what? This is a precedent that I'm happy to set. And if there's any crisp manufacturers out there who want to sponsor a Hermitcraft episode, please reach into my DMs. I mean, not in my current configuration, but come on, Pringles. I have a face for Pringles. Look at me. Me and the Pringles guy, we're kindred spirits. Long lost brothers. Wait, I swear I came in here to go to sleep. Have I been waffling on about crisps so much that I forgot to go to bed? Has it been a whole night? I see no evidence of anyone sleeping, but then I'm not sure it publishes to chat anymore. I'm concerned for myself. Now, there's a very small and very stupid part of my brain that thought maybe it's a good idea to just sit here and crunch crisps for this part of the time lapse. You know, we've done 2 time lapses already. I've been talking enough. Maybe I can just sit here and just crunch away. What was going on in my head when I thought that? I mean, it's far too late at night. It's clear that I've been playing far too much Minecraft today, to the point where I actually thought that was a legitimately good idea. I don't even know what to say. Let's get back onto the Hermitcraft server, shall we? It is now the next day, and I feel absolutely dreadful. Yeah, you definitely shouldn't eat loads of crisps late at night. Did I place this target block, by the way? I've been seeing a ton of comments talking about this target block. Is there something underneath this target block that I have to be afraid of? What is in my base? I genuinely thought it was a target block that I placed by accident, and yeah, that shows how lazy I am, that I just haven't cleared it up. Is there something around this? Is this something that I should hit with? I mean, I've got a bow. Is this really stupid? Like, if you just find a target block randomly in your base, is it a good idea to hit it with a projectile? I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I've got 1 arrow. Is this going to wipe my face? Is this going to wipe my base off the face of the planet? No. It's just it's just a target block. What were you all talking about down in the comment section? What? That was absolutely nothing to be afraid of. I thought there was something for me to do with it. There's nothing here. It's just a target block. Right, well, I'm going to pass this target block on to someone else, but I'm actually going to add something to it. I don't know if I'm cruel enough to put TNT under there. I thought I could put TNT that drops into water, but there is a chance that the person would panic and then actually cause something to explode. Don't want that to happen. All right, let's do a bit of an experiment. If I place a redstone block on top of this target block here and then hits the target block with an arrow, yes, okay, that causes the piston to extend. Does the piston extend normally? No. No, of course it doesn't. Okay, so this redstone block here is powering our piston. When the target block gets hit with the arrow, it updates the piston, causing the piston to extend. So if this sticky piston was a regular piston, then that target block would stay up, which means we can hide a message that gets revealed when the target block gets hit by an arrow. Okay, so if we place this here, we can get rid of this piece of glowstone. We can place in our sign. I think that's good. I mean, it just needs to be something completely pointless. And then this is our target block, redstone block, and then the carpet goes on top of the sign. I mean, this is so silly. This is so silly, but when he hits... Yeah. Oh, I'm completely stupid. Right, let's go back to the drawing board. We're going to use the same technique, I think, as we did before. If I have... Alright, I need a slab. So if I have this, and then I have our target block, and then down underneath here, I constantly update our piston. This is so unnecessarily laggy. Then I'm hoping... Yes! Okay, it does work. So this uses exactly the same principle as the system did before, but instead of the redstone block powering the piston, our target block is powering the piston, and the update is coming from that redstone clock down there. That was unnecessarily complicated for something as stupid as that. Anyway, we should probably have a look at our base, shouldn't we? So as I say, it is now the next day. I'm looking at this with fresh eyes, and... it looks really, really cool. Again, as always, it looks really busy because the center hasn't been filled in. I think when the center is done, this will look really coherent. I also do think that there's a lot going on up here that isn't meant to be going on up here. That does kind of draw the eye somewhat. But as far as actual bottoms go, that is a nice bottom. Yeah, there's no doubt. That looks super, super cool. Okay, next up on the list then is to gather up some resources to do the middle bit. Well, I guess first I should actually clear out the middle bit so that we can build the middle bit. Look at me being a proper Minecraft player and actually lighting the place up. This very rarely happens. It's actually really satisfying. It's been ages since I've just cleared out an area of trees so that I can do a build. I can't remember the last time I did that. It's one of those authentically Minecrafty experiences. Unless you work for a logging company, of course. Then this is probably the last thing you want to do. So the space is clear. Now I need to work out what sort of block palette I want. And this is a big question. I mean, I'm thinking we definitely have black stone or deep slate going around the edges here. So this will be bordered with deep slate. And then I think we need one kind of flat border and then another border that then leads us to the main square, which, to be honest, is going to be completely covered. So we probably don't have to worry about that too much. The main thing is the borders. I mean, I guess... Oh, I could actually do something like what I've done over here. I need to go through my door. I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop to admire... Oh, my goodness. I have never done that before. I mean, I could build another one of these things. I don't know if it would look jarring. It could look a little bit jarring. Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. For now, I'm not going to do it, just because I don't think it suits this part of the build, but it's an interesting idea if this doesn't work. I am absolutely getting ahead of myself. Right, first things first, these bits. And this should be job 1 completed, and it's looking great. Next, I mean, I wonder if we do almost like another border? Is that stupid? Like maybe if we have some deep slate tiles down here that wrap all the way around, including in the wooden bits, it's like a full border. Is that gonna look good? I really don't know. I've trialed it on these areas, and to be honest, I still don't know. I think it looks better. Yeah, I think it looks good. I'm happy with it. That was a very indecisive 5 minutes. So that's now done. Next for the inside, I think we should just keep it real simple. Because remember, we're going to have complicated looking farms on the inside of here. This is already quite complicated. I think as long as the floor is just pretty flat, then everything can kind of build up off of that. At least that's how I think it should work in theory. I sincerely hope that they have cyan terracotta. They do have cyan terracotta, and it's actually pretty cheap as well. Yeah, that is very reasonably priced. It's really funny, whenever I use cyan terracotta, I always get hundreds of comments calling me stupid for calling it cyan terracotta because they think it's grey terracotta. That's actually the perfect example for the most frustrating type of YouTube comment. Forget the ones that are just outright hateful or saying nasty things about you. Those I can deal with. But people who think they're right and want to show how superior they are to you because they are right when they are in fact wrong, it drives me around the bend. I mean, it's bad enough when they're right, but when they're wrong, it's just extra frustrating. In fact, I have another good example. Give me a second. I didn't expect this to be a rant about YouTube comments, but here we are. This redstone line. You have no idea how many comments I got about this redstone line and how I was placing TNT on top of the redstone line, and thus, as soon as the redstone line powered, the TNT would ignite and the whole thing would explode early. Well, to everyone who commented that, look at this. The redstone line is currently powered underneath this TNT block. It hasn't exploded yet. It is only going to explode when this TNT block ignites, and that can only happen when this redstone line powers all the way to the end. So just as a bit of advice, if you're going to be superior down in the comment section, number 1, make sure that you're correct. Number 2, don't write the comment, because even if you are correct, nobody's gonna like you. There are lots of ways that you can give advice or give someone information about a thing that they're doing in a YouTube video without having to make yourself seem like the smartest person in the room. If you find yourself typing, "I can't believe he did X," or "Why didn't he just do Y," then reconsider things a little bit. The world would be a much better place if we all just park our egos at the door and are all just nice to one another. That was an unexpected but very much needed tangent. Everything is starting to come together. I think I've got about half of the cyan terracotta in place. Even I'm starting to second guess what it is now. So this is all of the cyan terracotta going around, and we now have the central section left. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we put a deep slate border around this thing, and then we add some copper details to it because I think it would be nice to tie in that color. And then in the middle, we'll put some regular blocks. And I've built it in the wrong place, which is a terrible start, but I'm very glad I caught the mistake early, because otherwise that would have been infuriating. Can you imagine? I built my entire industrial district, and then I realize it's one block off center. Can you imagine how upsetting that would be? I don't even know what I'd do. I think I'd move my entire base one block over to make up for it. Isn't that known as doing an impulse? I'm fairly certain he did that. And that is the border done. And I wonder. I almost think we should drop this down a little bit further. That does mean I've done this in the most annoying possible order, because now I have to place blocks underneath. I also think maybe this is going to use a ton more copper. I should probably extend the copper downwards, shouldn't I? That looks like a bit of an abrupt end. Yeah, that does look better. Why is it that everything that looks nice always ends up being the most expensive way of doing things? Okay, so we have got the cyan terracotta, we've got the border, now we have this big empty space. Now this is mainly going to be covered up by industrial farms, so the floor doesn't matter so much, but equally I do want it to look kind of nice. I do want it to be flat, but I also don't want to spend a bunch of diamonds on cyan terracotta, and I do want it to contrast slightly with the outer border as well. I don't want it all to be one color, because I don't think that will look so good. So maybe a mixture of stone bricks and stone slabs could do well. That will tie it in with the wall blocks that we have down here, and also it will tie it in with this area up at the top, because there's a lot of stone bricks up there as well. And then when it gets covered over, it will become a little bit darker, and I think if we use anything too dark, that will become really muddy. So I think it will be a good idea for us to actually use a slightly lighter block down there. And that seems like the best option. So let's smelt up some of this smooth stone. So I guess this is my life now for the foreseeable future. Just holding shift and D, and right-clicking occasionally. And just to make you aware, this is by far the most uncomfortable position a thumb shifter could be in. It is the maximum level of overlap and underlap and whatever else my thumb and finger are doing. I've swapped over to shift and A, and this is by far the most comfortable position that a thumb shifter can be in, which is still like 7 out of 10 uncomfortable. I have no idea if doing it in stripes was a good plan at all, but I've kind of committed to it now. And I'm hoping it looks good. I've just taken a look, and I think it really was a good plan. I actually really like it. Oh, wait. Is this not square? This isn't a square. It's not square.